is in sight.
But,
yes, and it
30
is
Or
strewn with rocks and pretty heavily sedimented here.
make it smaller, 20.
all right, 20 it is.
Okay, thanks.
And our pilots will be taking a few minutes here to stabilize the remotely operated vehicle, which is attached by a 30-meter cable to the Sirius vehicle flying above it, so you can see the ROV from the Sirius feed,
Co-pilot,
which
do you
is
want
the
50 on your
center of the
sonar?
three on the
No,
bottom of your
not yet. I don't know
computer
what's going on.
screen below the image, the real-time image
Pilot
of the video,
winch on
and then
deck A.
on the right-hand side, the
Go
feed
winch.
will give you what's called a quad screen. It gives you information
winch
about the
is
orientation of the vehicle. You can
Not
see
very
the
happy
sonar
about starting
imagery.
and stopping.
And as we
the
settle down
charge
here,
pressure
one
on
of the
the traction
things
winch
that
drops
is
near
most
zero and
important
takes
about
maybe a
this
third of a
dive
second to
for
recover,
determining
then the
whether
whole-
this is a
the
recent
whole,
volcanic
traction
feature
winch kind of jerks
is
every
collecting
time we
a
start
rock
and stop.
sample
Is that normal
pretty
or
early
okay
in the
at this
dive.
tension?
If we can,
Well, if we don't,
collect
go ahead.
one
Pretty normal.
at the base of an outcrop. In other words,
But it's worth
a
noting.
Are you talking on A?
section
Talk on A.
of rock
Oh,
material
can you
that
hear me?
looks
Yeah, it's pretty
as if
normal,
it
but
is in
definitely
the
keep an eye on
place
it.
where it was
Right,
originally
so we're not worried
deposited,
about that.
or
If that
from
behavior
a lava
Definitely
flow
worth a note, though.
feature,
But
that would
yeah,
be
that's
our
what
first
you'd
priority.
expect to see in this kind
And
of
then
situation.
further up on the
For
slope,
this
so
much.
that we can potentially
Yeah, it's
get
the starting and
radiometric
stopping that
age
does it.
dating
It's
from
perfectly
these to
happy.
Yeah,
determine
that's
how
pretty typical.
recently
All right.
the rocks were erupted
Noted,
as
thanks.
lava on
Yep.
the seafloor. But I'm delighted to see that this seafloor actually is covered with rocks. This
Okay, now I have a reading.
particular volcanic feature is very small compared to the enormous volcano that we looked at yesterday with the flat top. And
All right.
that
We made
means
it.
I was
We're here.
afraid we might
And
come
my
down
relief is here.
Yeah,
on
of
a
course.
seafloor that was flat and covered fully with
What's the bottle
sediments, and that we
temperature
would not
for
see any
color
rocks.
balance?
I have
So
9
I
degrees.
am initially
Okay.
delighted that we can see them here on the seafloor.
Yeah, very cool. This is, so the way we, and Patty talked about how we kind of select the samples a little bit for geology, and for biology what we try to do is find something that, select something, because we have to be really discriminating. We collect 4 samples total, typically 2 rock samples and 2 biological samples. So we have to plan carefully, because really what we're looking for are new species, new records of occurrence, something that's very indicative of the area in which we are diving. So, and what's been happening is we've been seeing so many new things, new
Hey, pilot?
species, things
Yeah.
that we've
Good to
never
see you
seen
again.
Hi,
alive
Sean.
before.
It's been an hour or more. Yes.
New records of occurrence. They've never been reported for this area
Just checking
in
my Z-bias right
the
now.
Mariana Trench and surrounding areas. So it's or some organisms that are really typical of that site. So we really have to be very careful, and forces us to be thinking. Somebody made the analogy the other day about being in a candy store and trying to select which piece of candy you want, and then
watch
knowing
lead.
that okay, stand by.
Yeah, watch the pilot. Hey, we're pretty organized here on the bottom and about ready to begin. I just wanted to talk one thing over with you. Because we're so deep, it'll take about 15 minutes for any ship move that we start to even begin to be felt down on the bottom. So what we're thinking is that our normal process for today would be to start a ship move at 0.1 knots and just keep it moving at 0.1 knots. And we would only stop when we come to take a sample. And that, if we do that, then we will get to the end of the dive track in the time allotted. So in other words, it'll be important to identify our sample so that we can call in the ship stop, but we'll have at least 15 minutes to make the collection, and then we just get the ship moving. And proceeding at 0.1 knots is a real comfortable pace for surveying the seafloor and getting good imagery and everything, but we will just keep moving or we won't make the end of the dive track. How does that sound?
That sounds great, pilot. Thank you for the explanation.
Sure. You're very welcome. And we're
Yeah,
ready.
why don't you go, yeah, you want to introduce yourselves before you
Start moving
start
along.
moving it? Well,
sure.
actually, yeah, is it time for your shift change?
Oh, yeah, actually, a couple
Not
people
yet,
have,
not
one's traded out, another one's going to trade out, and I'm
Okay.
here for another half hour. But
Okay.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. My name's Jeff Williams, and I'm your pilot for the next half hour or so. It's a real excitement here, real exciting for me to be here on the seafloor 5,000 meters beneath the ship. I'm from the Global Foundation for Ocean Exploration, as are my associates here beside me. Fernando, who's just swapping out and is going to be replaced by Richard over at NAV. Sean to my right, co-pilot. Over in the corner, video engineer Roland Bryan. And in the back row, I'm going to get it right, Annie White.
Yes.
There we go. So good to be with you, everybody, and I'm looking forward to this dive. Thanks.
Thanks very much. And so, yeah, apologies because I forgot
Right,
to
I'm gonna
mention
go
a
ahead
very
and put them
important
over.
partner. I talked about who planned the mission, who's supporting it, the NOAA partners, our academic
let's just
partners,
wait
and I
to
left
see
out a
if they
very
wanna take a
important
sample right
partner,
now.
the ROV
But thank you.
operations,
Oh, my
Global
goodness.
Foundation for Ocean Exploration. Okay, so do you think you want to take a sample here or not?
Not quite yet.
Okay, so the way
Okay.
we're going, the pilot
So let's go ahead and get the ship
explained
moving then.
this to us,
you.
that basically the way we're going to operate today
Copy
is the
that.
ship is going to be moving continuously at about a tenth
Bridge,
of a
this is
knot.
nav.
At that rate of speed, if we decide we want to collect a sample, we have about 15
We
minutes
just
to do
reached
that.
bottom,
So if
and
you
we
see
wanna
something
put
that
our
you
first
that
move
looks
in.
interesting
Let's
and
make
that
it,
we need to get a
300
closer
meters,
image on to make a decision
080
about collect
bearing,
or not collect. We need to,
and 0.1
move on that
knots.
because
Our
we need to
payload
let
is gonna be the same,
our pilot know that
270.
yes, we're going to collect it. At that point, they will
Oh, boy.
they will
Okay,
send
then
a.
we're going to do that.
Okay.
Copy that. Thank you.
Pilot, I'm looking. This is the watch lead.
Yep,
Sorry.
I got you.
Oh, thank you. There are so many rocks here, and
Yeah.
right in front of us on the sonar, we see that there are very hard returns. These must be pretty close to something up the slope. I think because there's so many here, if you can position the ROV so that we can get a rock sample here, that would be great. This is
Okay.
low down on the slope.
Okay.
So we are going to try.
We're going to go ahead and collect.
Yes,
try and collect
we
something.
will collect here before we get away too much from this.
From
And
this,
just
right, 'cause
because
you-
this is such a deep dive.
Right.
If anything should happen technically on this dive, we would at least have a sample. And this is often the protocol that we use when we're down with a submarine as well.
The
If we're in a
human occupied. Man.
human occupied vehicle.
We still call them manned subs.
We do.
Because we're not offended by that.
We are not.
So
We've
now
been in this game long enough.
Go ahead
Yes.
and ask the ship to come to an easy
So
stop, please.
we will be picking up a rock here.
Pilot, I'm just going to rotate
And
slightly
this
starboard
sample
Great.
to
consider will
center
go
you
to
and my
Oregon
sonar
State
up.
Repository
Let's
so
actually
that
bring
people
the
can
ship to an
access
easy
it.
stop.
And that will probably be several months,
Copy
maybe
that,
to
thank
a
you.
year, depending on how rapidly these get
Done,
put
pilot.
in the
Thank you.
acquisition lists at both Oregon State and at the Smithsonian for the various samples.
The data and the images will be available very quickly.
Pilot, watch lead.
Go ahead, watch lead.
What do you think of this one on the left side? Is that the one you're aiming at? It looks beautiful.
That biggish fella right there?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if that's too big or not. Could I have
Yeah,
co-pilot,
might
could I
be
have
too
the
big.
lasers on?
If we get
Lasers on.
the lasers, looks okay if you can pick it up.
Yeah. It looks kind of big.
Right.
What was just to the left of that, I wonder?
Pilot, watch lead.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I like this one is because it is this triangular shape indicative of pillow basalt fragments.
Okay, let me try it then.
Oh, thank you, pilot.
You're welcome.
Now, this is about 20 centimeters, maybe 21 or so in diameter across. And so that is a little big for the
Sean,
claw.
if I can get this, I'm going to put it in the starboard rock box because it looks like
Starboard?
it's pretty big. Yeah.
Oh, starboard
Absolutely.
rock box sounds great, pilot, and it looks like it's just going to be hard. That is rocky and not crushable.
Rocky, I'm not
That's
going to
what
have to
I'm
worry
hoping.
about grip force.
If
Okay.
it's crushable, I'll be crushed.
Sean, could you put Mini Zeus up
Don't
on the
encourage
right
Chris.
screen there?
Oh, I know. I'm excited. Shirley.
I know a rock.
All
She's
right.
going
And
into
hydraulics
withdrawal
up for me?
symptoms because
Yes,
we only
hydraulics
collected
are up.
biological samples yesterday.
Well, we couldn't. You know, the
It was
samples
all,
yesterday
there
were
was nothing loose.
they were cemented by this incredibly thick manganese oxide
Oh, but
incrustation.
in retrospect, I wish we had picked up one of those stalks that were lying on the
that were
bottom.
lying- oh, I see what you mean,
know.
yeah.
I shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Well,
That's why we
always
said
the
we
way.
have to be really discriminating. It's like I waited too long to select that candy.
Yeah. Well, scientists on shore, I will be sure to tell you, whatever rocks we get from this tomorrow on the dive, and maybe even during the mid-water. No, I can't. Won't have it back yet. Anticipating being able to tell you what this sample may be like. So the pilot usually just kind of nudges the sample to see if it's loose enough to be able to grasp and move.
Very nice.
Wow.
It's going to get cloudy here in a minute.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Very, very
Do you want to take
fine
your
sediment
camera?
Yeah,
that
if you
that
could
was
tilt
in.
up for me, Sean.
Okay.
Yep,
Great.
tilting up.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna need help.
Video, do you
moving
want
that out of the
lasers
box.
on it, or just a zoom in right now?
I think lasers once is sufficient. Actually, I think we got new procedures. Says leave them on.
Leave them on? Okay.
Right.
All right. If you want to zoom in, Rolly, I'll keep that in focus there.
There's stuff on it.
Yeah. I'm always
My
impressed
blacks are not
by
responding.
how much biological little hairs
Camera
are
stop
present on
responding
the surfaces.
controls for a second.
However, this one has much less than we usually see.
We are at 5,700 meters.
That's true. And it may not have been down there quite as long as other rocks. Doesn't have the botryoidal surface coating of manganese that we often see on these. And that's suggestive of either less exposure or less biological mediation of the incrustation.
I was just
by
getting ready
microbes.
to ask Bob Carney to weigh in on this, what we're
Sean, can
saying,
you bring
and
the starboard
he had
rock box in,
already
please?
Yep.
anticipated my question, and he's calling this biofuzz. It's minimal.
All
Deb
right, it's all
Glickson
ran.
says,
Okay.
pretty clean looking and still quite angular.
There's all four sides.
Please be fresh.
Video, if you're all set, we'll go full wide. And get this into the rock box.
All right, do you want me to rotate down with main HD?
Yeah,
You
well, I'm
can,
going to go out of the picture
if
here.
you look
Sure,
at
please.
Okay.
the video
Rotate down.
feed for your right
figure
hand
out what the
feed, you'll see
Best view
on our
is
quad
for me
screen
here.
several images of the rock sample
wanna
boxes that are
start
available
ribbon
to us
up at all?
on the sampling
No, I'll just work with it here.
sampling
Thanks.
Skid, yeah.
platform.
Platform.
I was looking
yeah,
for the word
Yeah.
on the ROV, and that platform is the box that the ROV pilot is going for is maybe 12 inches in diameter, wide, 12 inches wide, or
Wide.
so. So this is a fairly big rock.
So we have two rock boxes,
We do one has a lid, the other is open.
right? And then we have
Bio boxes.
two, well, we have, they're two large areas, so separated, they're divided in half. So we have 4 bins or bio boxes. So in those, we put our biological samples, and they come up with water still in them, whereas these obviously have slits in them, and so when they come up out of the
Thank
water,
you, pilot. Wonderfully
Very
done.
welcome.
dry. Thank you, very good.
Oh,
Going
Jeff, that
outboard.
was great. So, 2344.
18 specimen
At
forward rock box collect.
5701.
And
We're
do you have
talking
your
to
camera
ourselves
back?
as we're recording the notes for this.
Yep. We have a variety of forms that are filled in
Could you
to
bring
document
the
the
pilot camera
samples.
around so I can
So
see
you'll see a scribbling,
see the arm?
and I'm very excited about this
Absolutely.
I
rock.
know you are. I know. I know you are.
This rock looks good, folks. It's very
Nav, if you
very
would just
angular,
get that ship
which
move
is
underway again.
uncommon in rocks that are heavily
Thanks,
coated with
Sean.
manganese and are
I can't
very
hear you
old.
right now.
So Tina says that
The rock
there
was
is
down the
a
front?
small
Yes.
white stick at the rock just
Just ahead.
ahead.
Okay.
I'm thinking that I'm looking at, I'm trying to see where that
Bridge,
white
this
stick
Yeah.
is. Maybe the
And
one at the
upper
top
one
of the,
at the left. Yeah, I think I see a white
like
spot.
at 12 o'clock?
No,
Hello,
11,
Bridge. You've got Richard
10:30,
on the,
11, the rock at
navigation
10:30
chair
or
at the moment.
11.
Oh,
And
I
there's
see.
a small
Now I
white
have that
speck
nav,
in the lower.
She says
last
stick.
move.
Stick. Well, I see a
rotate, please.
speck.
So
But
300
our
meters.
shore-based
Okay.
scientists often
Yeah,
see
all set.
things before
Perfect.
Shirley
Thank
and I do because they're looking at that beautiful high-def screen that you folks at home are seeing.
Right in front of them.
And we have a screen that's much smaller and it's about 9 feet away from us.
Shall I
It's a
pilot?
big, it's a big
Thanks.
screen, but it's
Yeah.
far away.
Thanks for your help.
Right. Well, 9 feet.
Ah, yes.
Not that far.
Always happy to help.
Too far
Okay,
from me.
Watchley,
Yeah.
this is pilot.
Our old
I heard
eyes.
you discussing something, but I didn't know what it was.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
at the
this
rock
is
at 12 o'clock,
Yes.
there's a white stick, something.
Lower left on the very bottom.
Well,
just-
it's on
just
the
above
top.
this-
It's at the top of the screen.
It's
though.
at the top
Yeah,
of the screen.
right.
Okay.
Sorry, pilot. Top of the screen, and I see something white kind of the lower portion of the rock, but also right on
Yeah,
top.
I see one right at the top.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll
Wow,
just
this will be
We'll just
interesting.
take
take
a
a little
quick
time
look
and look
at
at
it.
it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm also seeing like things over in
Uh,
the upper left that look like
well,
they
we
may
could
be
zoom
in,
carnivorous
see if you
sponges
can-
too.
I'm not sure what
Surely
they're
that'd
looking
be
at.
Cool.
You know what, Tina? It looks like they're just trails on that
Maybe.
rock.
But it would be nice to see if there are worm tubes like we've seen on others
Yeah,
down
they
at this
may.
depth.
They may well be.
You want to go full in there, video?
Max zoom.
Watch lead pilot.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you could pan to the right, I
Okay,
think
pull
there
out
were
partial.
on the surface of the rock, just on the right side, it looked like there might be worm tubes.
Okay. On sort of on the face of it there.
On the top part,
Top
on the
part.
right half, there
Okay.
are sort of squiggly white lines that
Oh,
a zoom
okay.
may. Yeah,
Okay.
the right. Yeah, the right
Understood.
laser point is. Well, left laser point's on the bottom of one of them now.
Right. Okay.
So what
Okay,
we do
rolling.
is we talk to the pilots to ask for zooms and things, and you may hear us doing this during the course of the
Yeah.
dive.
And I'm
Diva's thinking that they're
spinning.
probably
Sorry.
just forams. All those
I need you to
white.
go.
We
Yeah,
are
I know we're so deep, though. We are pretty
Yeah.
deep.
We are
Thanks.
below
That
the
carp.
depth at which carbonate is dissolved
Yeah.
by the cold seawater, cold and under high pressure.
Thank you, pilot.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get you a better picture there. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
Thank you.
That was my bad.
Oh, these
That's
rocks!
fine.
Look at how angular they are in the upper right. I'm so excited, Shirley.
Okay, Sean, if you
Also
would
had
take the
a
camera.
real
tilt.
strong
Absolutely.
coffee this morning, so that helps.
Oh no, you didn't.
Use
I
two
did
hands
too,
here.
and I
You
Okay,
never
go
drink
ahead.
coffee.
Okay.
I
Roll in,
occasionally
Sean.
Oh my gosh.
wake up after my
We're going
long
for these
sleep.
trails.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
got the jitters.
Just like Rip Van Winkle.
And
Okay.
all
Oh, look
stopped.
at on the top. So on the left, see that? Yeah, they do look like worm tubes because they're
Sure
projecting
do.
above
Yeah,
the
they
surface
sure
of the
do.
rock.
They sure do.
So there's something to
They
eat
sure
down
do.
here, or there was. Or there was at a shallower depth from which these rocks fell, which is a possibility.
We good with that, Watchley?
We're good.
Okay.
We're
let's go
perfect with that.
full
Thank
wide.
you, pilot. So we
And
should maybe go up and take a look for sponges on the
Yeah,
rocks?
I'm not sure. Now that I've gotten a closer look at them, I think that those are just forams as well. By the way, Bob Carney pointed out that these are not carbonate forams; they're agglutinating.
Watch lead video.
Go ahead, watch Lee.
I wonder if on the quad screen we could have back the usual quad screen with the sonar and stuff.
Copy that.
Rolly, could we take a snap of that thing sticking up there?
Oh,
Right there.
is that pteropod shell?
Looks
It's
like-
oh, there is a pteropod. I was noticing that tube
Yeah.
sticking up in the.
Tube.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
tube.
There's a tube for sure.
Didn't know if that was of interest.
We can take a quick look at that.
Thank you, video. Yeah, little
My
snap.
pleasure.
Okay.
See if there's
snap-
anybody
snap
sticking out the
some of
top of it.
that. Hold that.
There is. There is.
There,
There is something at the top
there's
that's
something
white.
at the. Yep, sure is.
Oh, wow. Do you want to take
Okay.
a look at that, Shirley?
No, I think this is good. I think it's enough for us to.
Is it alive? you
Sure
think?
does look like it.
When you're clear
Looks like
video.
well, I can't tell if that's.
Can't see if they were tentacles.
Yeah, I think there were tentacles sticking out of that. Okay, thank you, pilot.
You
Thank
betcha.
you, video.
Carry on. Here.
Yes, please.
We've got the ship underway. We've had it underway for about 5 minutes, and so, like I said, in about 10 minutes, we'll actually start to see Sirios moving across the seafloor. But in the
Something in the water
meantime,
column?
D2 is going to go adventuring.
Thank you, pilot. Looks great.
Diva Aman, who was the biology science lead on leg 1 of this expedition. Diva is from the University of Hawaii, and she was thinking that oh, and so Tina as well. Tina and Diva were thinking Ketopterid for that polykete tube. I remember when I used to teach marine biology
sure.
class. Ooh, what is that?
Yeah, okay. Pilot, this is Watch Lead, who is not usually interested in biology, but I think that gray thing is something Shirley'd be interested in.
Right, let's go see what that is.
Boy, that looks...
what do you think? Okay, come on.
Okay, guessing. Oh,
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come
I'm
on.
going to wait. I'm going to be careful.
Oh, I'm not.
She thinks it's a tunicate. I'm putting words in her mouth, but
I just typed it into the chat log.
Did you? Oh, yeah, okay. I think it's a tunicate,
Okay,
too.
Rolly.
This is very cool.
Sea
huh?
squirt-ish, sort of.
Toon Tara Harmer Luke, our
Oh,
deep sea
this is-
biologist from Stockton
this is
University.
so
does-
deep.
So we saw
Wow.
some yesterday too.
Oh my
we saw a couple
goodness.
yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I forget.
Yeah, we did see them yesterday.
Yesterday we
but
saw
that
them.
was so much shallower. This is 5696 meters. 5696.
And do we need to image this, or?
This is. I think this is pretty good. What we're getting right now.
Yeah, we have seen it before.
We've seen this before. It's really interesting. Well, I don't think
And
we've.
this is
it's
a nice
very deep.
video,
Yeah,
I think,
beautiful video.
Okay. Video, do you need
Lovely.
anything on this?
We're good.
Okay. Full wide then,
Okay,
please.
Lovely. Thank you.
Oh, thank you,
Great.
pilot. That's
You bet.
beautiful. Thank you, too, video. Ooh,
Diva
nice.
calls this megalodicopia. It is megalo, that's for sure. It's big. Kind of reminds me of like a Venus flytrap.
Yes.
The shallow water counterparts of these are called little sea squirts.
Yeah, that's right. I had
Are they in
learned
the
that.
family Chordata?
They are Eurochordata. They're Eurochordate, so they're among the most advanced of the, I guess, invertebrates. Because in their larval stages, they have what's called a notochord. So among the
Oh,
most
right.
advanced, yeah.
And in that respect, they are more closely related
To
to us
chordates.
than
Yep,
that's
most other things we've seen.
That's
Isn't
right.
that amazing? Them
It
here at
is.
5,600 meters.
I know.
Wow.
So,
really
you know,
glad.
the other day when we did midwater work, one of the midwater animals that we saw very deep was a pelagic tunicate, a larvation.
Oh.
So, yeah,
Oh.
so these animals are
These
adapted
white
to
spots, and there's a white,
life in the
white
deep sea.
fuzzy
Yeah, we
thing in
can
the
do
upper
a
right.
yeah, we can
Do you see
zoom in
that?
on these white. Yes, I
The
do. I
rock
see like at
and-
about 2 o'clock we see something.
And maybe at 1 o'clock on the rock.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So first here in the sediment.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, with the
Partial
sediment.
zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold that. Looks like rock fragment. Maybe some shell fragment.
Okay, geologist, is this good for you? You want to see that sediment closer?
Hey, Shirley, this is Deb.
Hey, Deb,
It
hi.
would be great if we could zoom in a little more closely. Hi there, how are you?
Good, I'm doing very well. Pilot, can we just zoom in a little bit closer on the sediment,
Of
please?
course we can. Go ahead, video all the way in.
Thank you.
All that kind of
You know, it's interesting. It
flock.
looks fluffy.
It does look
as
fluffy.
if
Yeah, it
there's
looks fluffy.
almost bacterial mat.
We know,
or-
yeah, the other, is that good?
Yep, looks good.
Thanks, Pilot.
Okay, full wide.
And I
Full
think
wide
we
eye.
wanted to look
Thank you.
up at, yeah,
Oh.
1:30, 2 o'clock.
That
Jeff.
whitish-
Yeah, that
whitish
whitish. Yeah,
rock.
on the rock, yeah.
Just
Okay.
to see if it's biological.
Yeah.
It just may be exposure of the
It could-
surface
it could
of the
very
rock,
well be.
but we'll see.
Because I can see as we're moving up that there's
Mhm.
more, there are more white things.
Yeah.
So the sediment does look fluffy, and we already know it's pretty fine because when
Yes.
Okay,
We picked up
partial
the
zoom.
rock.
when Jeff was picking up that rock, there was a little bit of sediment
Oh,
that was picked up.
interesting.
Okay, what is this?
This looks like a surface of the rock, I think. Very lightly
Sure does.
sedimented, very pale.
And you can go in some
And
more
that
now.
is interesting.
Hold that, thanks.
Oh, we are going to have an interesting time further up the slope looking at exposures.
Okay.
Many of the smaller pieces of the pebbles and cobble-sized things also look like they have white surfaces covered with a really thin manganese coating here. Oh, that's great, Pilot. Thank you.
You're welcome. Full wide, please, video. Sean, you sense any movement yet?
I've had to pick up a couple times. I think.
Oh, that's me coming
it
up.
was,
but-
no, on
Oh,
my
you think you-
sonar.
Oh, okay.
So I think I am moving a little.
All right. Good. So the ship move has made it to the seafloor, and we're starting to move up the hill.
So as we move up the hill now, we're going to be making quicker progress across the seafloor. Here we see many more pebbles and cobble-sized.
That's
Oh,
good to know.
and there
Not bad.
is
And I see something off
critter.
on the left, too. So let's take this first, and then I'll go get
Well,
the other
actually,
one.
Pilot.
Yes.
Looks like that rock that we're seeing right in front of us. If you can zoom on that, that looks like an interesting biologic.
All right. Okay, partial zoom. And hold.
Oh, there we go. Oh, this is a sponge. I forget which kind, but somebody on shore, tell us. Chris or Scott?
And some more zoom. Hold that.
So I'm at a disadvantage today, not being at the UHECC, so I have the same delay that everybody else does. So I'm waiting for the video to get a little closer.
Okay. Okay, you'll see it shortly. So we're waiting for Chris Kelly, who is part of
Okay,
the
Rolly, you can go
University of
in even more.
Hawaii's Oceanography Department.
Thank you.
And as we zoom on this,
Sean, I might need you
he'll
to
be
tilt for
seeing
me.
this
Yep,
in
I
about
will
10
take the
seconds
camera.
after we begin to zoom. And then he could tell us what it is,
Slight
I'm
tilt up.
sure, because
Yeah.
this is one of his favorites.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's my best guess would be it's some type of a Corbitellinae, subfamily Corbitellinae. It's a vase sponge, but it's got all these sort of projections coming out of the sides, and that's quite similar to what we are calling right now in shallower depths Corbitellinae new genus. So it's not the same clearly, but it's got some similarities. So I don't suppose there's a chance to collect, but certainly I understand this is a geology dive and you want to try to get to your top and don't have much time, so no big deal.
Okay, Watchley, can I pull out from this?
Yes, thank you, Pilot.
Okay, full wide, please.
Chris, actually, if it's important to collect these, certainly we can do that. Just let me know, okay? Shirley has stepped out for a bite to eat its lunchtime here on the ship, and we will be having a shift change for the pilots, co-pilots, the front row folks. Oh, pilot, if we can zoom on this critter, that would be good. For a
Shall
quick
we?
look.
A little bit closer here.
All right, folks, we're zooming
Okay,
on
video.
yet another critter. This is great. Wow.
Partial.
That's good.
Now this one is different from some of the animals we saw yesterday that have the same form, but had a dark orange color. And let's see if we see tube feet. Pilot, can we get a closer zoom to look for tube
Yeah,
feet on
just
this?
Stabilizing.
Yeah, we have to get settled a bit so that we can then zoom in
Okay, Rolly and Sean.
and determine
Yep.
if this is
I have your
indeed
camera.
a sea star,
Slight tilt
which
up.
I think it is.
Up.
Hey,
And
co-pilot.
you
Stop.
go in.
We may
Is your
hear
winch?
from our sea star expert from the Smithsonian.
Hey, winch, go ahead.
Chris,
We got a couple
Ma,
eyes
and
down
he
here.
is
Can you
a
just-
frequent caller
Can you haul in
when we
just
see
a
beautiful
little bit
critters
just so
like
we can see
this.
it change? Maybe
Yeah.
a meter
Are you
or
ready
two?
now?
Yeah.
Slight tilt up. Slight tilt up.
That is
Am
a
I
beautiful
slipping?
image.
Slipping.
Anybody on shore? Phreastera is what type Chris Kelly has typed. Phreastera.
How's that winch?
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the winch looks okay.
Oh,
Co-pilot.
thank you, pilot. Beautiful shot.
Copy
Whenever
that,
you're
winch.
finished, we are ready to go on.
All right. Video, full wide.
All right, pilot, if your camera back.
And looks like you are definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. That is 7.2 on my camera.
All right. I'm just going to pick up, move over this,
Yep.
over this rock.
That is one rock we would not want to roll on top of D2.
No, I couldn't pick it up either.
Uh-uh.
Nah.
A massive boulder that we're going over that sea star had populated. If you folks would like to take a look at the center feed, you can see the remotely operated vehicle, our D2 ROV, in the center of the screen, just passing over the boulder we just imaged the sea star on, and you can see the surrounding seafloor is covered with sediment, with scattered boulders and
Hey,
cobbles
co-pilot winch.
and small pebbles. And
Go
this
ahead,
is
winch.
encouraging
Can you
to
just go
us
down a couple
as
meters and then back up a
we
couple meters?
ascend this small
yeah,
feature
copy
on the
that.
seafloor, that indeed it may be a younger volcano than the large seamounts that we were diving on the past 2 days.
All right, now I'm going to come up.
Yeah, as we approach this boulder, there are
Snap
some
zoom
light
video.
colored things that
Hold that.
yeah,
Thank you,
taking a
co-pilot.
quick
She
look
looks
is
good.
good. There's something on the right hand
Copy that,
side just
winch.
appearing
Thank
bottom
you.
right corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. The surface of this boulder looks as if it has a more botryoidal or cauliflower
Can we get any more on that?
morphology to it with regard to the manganese oxide coating. So that is indicative of older and longer exposure on the seafloor. So we're looking at the little white thing.
Light level below is a little
And this,
Yeah.
this Tina is saying this might be a gastropod.
Sean, can you bring the lower swing arms more to bear in the center? Just bring them in a
pilot,
little left.
can we? Is this full zoom?
That's full zoom right now.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to try and get a little more light on it.
Okay. Thank you, pilot. Pilot says we get a little more light. They have maneuverable swing arms that have lights on them, and sometimes they
There
can
we
get
go.
better illumination
Better.
on features we're looking at, which we're doing right now. So, okay, Tina, does this confirm your impression that this is a gastropod? Looks translucent to me.
All right, that has them pointing
So
inward.
just wondering.
Thanks, Sean.
No problem.
So, Patty, this is Deb.
Yes, Deb.
Hey, when we're done talking about the gastropod, or hopefully figuring out what it is, could you explain maybe why we see what we saw at the beginning? It looked like it was pretty thin manganese crust and pretty angular rock. And up here, you know, only a few, we haven't really gone very far. This looks thicker. It looks, you know, as you said, more bosphoroidal. It has that pebbly texture.
Okay.
We've
Why
got
would we be
approximately
seeing
3 hours,
thicker
20
manganese
minutes
crust
on
here when we
Pull
just
out,
saw
please,
much thinner
Robert.
manganese crust?
Lost Mike.
That's a great question, Deb.
Thank you.
Your guess would
We've
be
got
as
about
good as
3
mine,
hours,
and I'm
20
guessing
minutes.
you might guess
I've been asked to
that
be
these
at the
large
end position
boulders
50
may
minutes
be closer
before
to the base
the
of an edifice
cover went
and
off.
therefore
She looks
might
good.
have erupted,
That gives
if
us
this is
2 hours
a
40
young
about
volcano,
to cover
earlier.
280 meters.
Later
So the speed
eruptions
is
might
less than
produce
0.06.
less
So we've
sedimented
got
and perhaps
time,
less
that's what I'm saying.
encrusted material
So
further
what I
up the slope.
discussed
It's
with
possible
Nav and
that,
with Watchlead was that we would try
outcrops
to keep
further up
the
the
ship
slope
moving
might
at
be
0.1 all
steeper,
the time.
and therefore materials
Until
falling
we saw
off of
something
them,
that we wanted to sample.
you know, might
And then
make
we
it
would
further down the
immediately
slope. We
call
may
for
be
an
seeing a
easy
mix
stop.
of older and younger material.
And then once the sampling was
So
done,
I'm
we'd
guessing
get the ship
and
underway
hoping.
again.
It's possible.
And the reason to be 50 minutes in advance?
Go ahead.
It's possible
Say
that
it
the rock
The reason
that
to
may
be
have actually
on
been
recovery
younger than
50
some of the
minutes
stuff that
before?
we're seeing right now.
That was
Yeah, it's exactly what I was about to say.
To
Yeah, I
try-
think that might
the
be the
alternative
case.
was to
That's what
make
I'm hoping.
short jumps.
So we'll keep our fingers
And with
crossed,
10
right?
minutes
Well, I'm still hoping
for it to
for
propagate down the
pressure off.
wire,
You know,
we'd
I'm
always
waiting
be
for us to
10
find
minutes
something
on,
super
10
fresh,
minutes
but,
off,
you know,
10 minutes on, 10 minutes off.
Angular
So
is
that
good. I'll take that.
was my attempt
I agree.
to
Me
keep
too.
the train rolling.
We'll see what we get further up the slope.
Hi, Carl.
Tina asked if we could zoom on what seems to be valves, but I think we have moved on, Tina, sorry. Please let us know. We do have about 15 minutes as we start moving upslope in order to be able to get a sample. So if you have a relatively quick connection, like just a few seconds, I'm sure we can accommodate you. If it's more like 10 or 15, there might be some difficulty in, you know, getting back to a spot. So be sure to let us know as soon as you see something looks interesting. All right, folks, we're just having a switch of our pilot, who will be going off to lunch. As soon as everybody's situated in their positions, we'll get
Hey,
them to
pilot, you're
introduce
kind of
themselves
drifting
as our new group.
backwards underneath me.
All right, I should probably start driving forwards underneath you then, huh?
Yes, that would be ideal.
All right. So here we're in a continuous move here.
Yes, at 0.1. Nav, what's our bearing? 80?
80.
Okay,
Yes.
copy that.
80.
Watch lead
Oh.
pilot.
Go ahead, watch lead.
Yeah, pilot, we see something with arms on that rock up there. There's a chance we can get a closer look.
Actually,
I know we just started moving.
yeah, we can do about 10 seconds, and that's
Okay,
all.
a snap zoom would be
Okay,
much
video.
appreciated.
Let's get a zoom. Nav, how far is it to coming back down? How far is it to the top of the hill?
We've got about 270 meters to go.
Okay. What speed do we have to make it?
This is where it's
Okay, you
like
can go
confusion.
full in video.
0.06. But that will get us
0.06.
there 50 minutes in advance of the time we need
Okay.
to leave the bottom.
All right, very good video.
Oh,
Let's
that's
come
very
wide.
good. Thank you, pilot. That looks just like what we saw before, just a few minutes ago.
Oh, we want to Nav. We want to get there early. Is
That's
that-
what I was requested to do,
Okay.
to be there early, but
That makes
I'm
sense.
not sure why.
Oh, well, I guess to look around, maybe,
Okay.
if that's where we're headed.
Or whether it was to give us time then to stop during the transit.
Well, we could ask.
I wasn't sure if it was a pilot initiative
I'll
or
ask.
a...
Watch lead pilot.
Go ahead, pilot.
Yes, I see the previous nav made sure we would get to the top of the hill with about 45 minutes to spare. Was that to look around at the top of the hill, or was that allowing for maybe 3 15-minute stops along the way to get samples? Is there...
Right, pilot. Thank you. That is a good set of options for us.
Either way. Is that
Right,
the, okay.
right. If the top looks recently volcanically active, we will definitely want to look around there. So we'll be judicious in trying
Okay.
to decide what to sample.
So it's 45-minute buffer of looking around closely and sampling either on the way or there. I see.
Right.
Got it.
Thank you. That doesn't really, tell you what you wanted to know. But
No, that
yep.
that does.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very good.
Wow.
Thank you, Pilot.
Big boulders.
So now it sounds like then, but we're going 0.1, so we're actually going to arrive there much earlier then, right? Okay. So I think to get rid of the layback, maybe then, if we called for a ship stop now, then we could just do a series of 40-meter moves, keep track of the layback. Because if
The layback we measured on the first one was about 10 minutes before the Syria started moving after the ship.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, pilot, on this rock in the center of the screen, there's something
I mean
on the right.
distance. You mean center screen here?
Yes, center
Yes.
screen just above the lasers.
Okay. So now I mean the distance, because
Distance-wise,
as
yes.
you move continuously,
Okay,
Sirius kind of
folks on
stays
shore,
behind at this depth.
Yes.
So if you were to say
We
stop the
did
ship to
hear
take a
from
sample,
Chris
Sirius could
Kelly
still
that
have
there's a
50
possibility we
meters
might
to
want
move
to
or
sample
something.
something. We are moving right now, so we need to know pretty quick
So yeah, if you just
if
stop up
this
here.
is
We'll just stop
a
Okay.
potential
Bridge.
biological
This is
sample.
Nav.
Okay. Sponge Hex from Tina.
Okay, video, would you like to get a zoom?
Is this thing
To a gentle
purple?
stop, please.
This thing looks purple. Yes, indeed, Chris.
Thank you, Bridge.
It sure
Also-
is interesting. That's all I can say.
Okay. Interesting enough.
Very interesting enough. We don't get purple hexactinellid.
Okay. So is that something
I'll
there is a
start setting up for sampling, I
consensus
guess.
about regarding sampling?
We'll get a good shot in a second video.
Anybody else on shore?
Yeah, and Pilot, for the previous zoom in, we had the lower swing arms pointed inward.
Pilot, watch lead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, pilot, if you can stand by, they're
Okay.
thinking about sampling this.
All right, well,
Is that a possibility?
actually at this point it's really not.
Okay,
Sirius is coming up
thank
on
you.
me, so
Um,
we have stopped the ship. We're going to do a series of 30-meter moves, which would
Okay.
still get us to the top, but allow for sampling.
Thank you, pilot.
Now, if you
Um,
want to mark this location, I know Hypat's
All right,
little.
we
we
are
come wide video?
moving, so sampling that one is not a possibility at the moment. However, Annie is watching for more of them, and we'll make sure if we see one that we will try to get in position
And
quickly to be able
co-pilot,
to
if
do
you want to
that.
just come up and get
Our
to
pilot's doing
10 or
a series
15
of
above me.
15-minute
coming
moves rather quickly
I
up the
can mark the
slope.
location about
So
at the
as I said
stern of the
earlier,
ship.
you know, if we see something that
D2
looks
is jumping around.
collectible, we need to
in such
really
a way,
make a
I'm
decision
not sure
quick.
any marking would be of any benefit.
Okay.
well, just drop a target where you close to where you think it would be, and maybe note the depth in it.
All right. Okay, pilot, we take a quick look, not at the swimmer, but at the fixed sample on the rock.
Sure.
And this is different from the hexactinellid we just saw. All right. I'm going to guess this is an anemone. Let us see. (56, 53 meters)
Here.
and a lot
Did you
more
say something?
biology than I had thought we would see on such a deep dive.
Oh. The lighting looks good now. Yep.
Okay, video, we're good to zoom.
Actinaria, yes, an anemone.
Sidle to the port.
And And Shirley is back. Yeah, we saw a couple of sponges, a purple hexactinella, and yes, and Chris Kelly was interested in trying to collect it, but we're moving,
How's
so
that
it's
look
very
for you?
difficult to do that.
It's good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We saw a purple
Thank you.
hexactinella.
Yeah.
All right, back
And you
from
were
lunch.
eating lunch.
I had my 20-minute break.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And this one has a
Log
lot
again.
of food
disconnect.
in its interior, looks like. I can see kind of a thick
So co-pilot
collection
will want
of
to know when
material.
you
So
stop.
it looks as
so
if it's
try to
much
keep
more
an eye
fertile
on
down here with respect
either
to
your sonar or
nutrients
me.
for these animals
Copy
than
that.
I would ever have expected at such a
And
depth.
I've been bumped off of the event log again. All right. Let me figure out what I'm doing
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Beautiful
we good?
video.
Yeah. As soon as we're done with that.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful video.
Okay, video, you want anything else? Well, do you want to, we should get a close-up of the center here.
We're going for a
There we
beauty
go.
shot here,
Thank you,
folks,
video.
because this is
Yeah, it is a beautiful
an
animal.
unusual
Yeah, beautiful.
find at this depth and a very
It is
pretty
gorgeous.
anemone. And the reason that we are having to ask our biology shore-based folks if they want a collection of things is because the way the ship operates at such great depths
That's
as
enough for
this
video.
All right,
is
thank you.
the ship
Go
will
wide
move
then.
on the surface and it will draw the
had the
Sirius
lasers for
vehicle,
the
which
first
is up
one. Thank you.
above our ROV D2
So you're definitely
along
still
through the
moving,
water
huh?
column.
Yeah,
we
I can
have
see on
an
my
immense
sonar. I
amount of
haven't
cable
adjusted
out
height,
right now,
but,
so it
that's
takes
good.
a long
It's creeping
time
closer.
to get stable in one place on the
Okay.
seafloor. Sirius moves forward, and that gives the ROV some slack in the 30-meter cable from Sirius to the ROV for the ROV to move around on the seafloor. But if Sirius is moving fast, then the ROV has
and
to follow
co-pilot, I
it
think
pretty
you're already
quickly.
doing a
So
good
sometimes
job,
we
but
can't do a sample
they
when
called me down to the winch room
we
to
are
look at,
requested.
because
Is
as you,
that something on the top of that rock or just
No, it's just sediment. I think
chaos?
it's,
Okay.
it's not just
whenever you
sediment.
move
It's
the
chaos.
handle, it takes the brake off,
yeah,
and then
I'm
the
not
drum
sure
rolls
it's
forward.
sediment, but
Okay,
it doesn't
well,
look
I
as if
think
it's
Makes a lot of
biological.
noise down
No,
there
it
with all the
doesn't.
tension.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And
very
it looked like you were doing it
fragmented.
very well,
Oh,
but
this rock's
sometimes when
interesting
I'm
'cause
doing
it has
it,
a lot of
I'll just be
manganese
watching
on
the cameras, and I'll
downhill
just kind of haul
side,
up
much less
once in
on
a
the
while.
uphill side,
Yeah.
so it's broken
But I might-
free, and
I
the
don't know.
uphill side shows thinner
Anyway, I guess at this tension we want to do it
manganese
purposely, like
cover and
you know,
greater
start
angularity.
slow, haul up a few meters and stop. Not just kind of haul up
Wow.
a half meter at a
Isn't
time,
that pretty?
you know, which
Oh.
sometimes people
Wow.
do. Just
Okay, so haul up with
So even though I
large
missed
hauls
that
as opposed to
beautiful
smaller ones.
lavender
purposely.
sponge,
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
my
just
ace
subconsciously
spotter and videographer
yeah.
sitting
Which
next to me right
I'm
now
not saying you're doing. I do that
Annie
sometimes.
White
Everyone does.
I've
showed
never
it to me
done
on instant replay.
Oh, this
I'll
rock
be
too.
careful.
Oh, look at
the
that, how
manganese
that's like-
oxide.
Cool rock.
Yeah,
Has it
this
been like
one-
fractured or
This
what?
one has broken off a surface, and you can see very smooth manganese oxide coating with a thick coating on the left, and the broken surface has much less. So as we get up further
So,
on the
Patty, is there
seamount,
any chance that this volcano is just a really small volcano on the seafloor already, so it's quite old and it wasn't really related to the nearby fractures?
I think
yeah,
he's-
Chris,
I
it
think
could
he's
be.
slowed by now,
It could be.
I'm gonna wait
What we've
one
noticed
minute.
on some
Okay.
of the
See
mapping that's been done overnight on these
what my
large
sonar does.
So it'll be good to figure it
you
out
know,
now to
100
mark it, and then we'll know
kilometer
Yeah.
for
wide
every 40-meter move.
geos, the
It's been
old
7 minutes
Cretaceous
now.
volcanoes,
Since the ship
is
stopped.
that around the
minutes since
base
the
of
ship
them and on
stopped.
the
That's a
flanks
good
of them,
indicator,
we
too.
do
It'll probably
see
take about
smaller,
10 or so.
what look like
People think at
cones,
this step.
and so there
That's
may
just
be
estimate, but-
much later volcanism that occurred, or at the same time that they were forming, maybe there were side vents, and we have another multi-armed critter on the side of
I
this
see
rock.
that.
I've got about a 40-meter difference between
Watch lead
the
pilot.
depth on
Can
the
we
ROV
take
and
a
the
look
depth on
at this
the
multi-armed
track
thing?
Can do.
Yeah, Chris, so I think we may see when we get to the summit that all the rocks there are covered with manganese, and
It
might be
therefore
soft pilot.
they are older.
Might
I've been watching
Yeah.
sonar for about 2
Might
minutes.
this be a crinoid? I don't
It
know.
I
looks
can't
like it
say
could
Sure
be.
does.
We saw
see it creeping
two
forward at all.
stars
Yeah, I would agree.
earlier.
I've been
Sea
here a
stars?
while.
Sea stars.
Uh-huh.
video.
Okay, good.
Free to zoom.
White.
Oh,
this is
isn't
a
that
crinoid.
pretty? Yeah,
This is a crinoid.
yeah,
Okay.
sure is.
And now I'm stable video, so any shots you want, tight or far, let me know what looks good.
You can see its long legs
And
underneath
the
are called
cirri.
cirri.
Yep.
Cirri,
Gripping
those.
the seafloor.
It's gripping
Yeah,
that rock.
let's do a 40-meter move now.
And we've been told by our echinoderm specialists that those
Heading straight
lumpy
for
areas that you see
dive end.
sticking off of the
Sirius is
arms
heading
down
good.
towards the center disc
9.5.
Yeah,
are
9.5.
areas that might be
9.5.
reproductive
Uphill, yeah.
tissue,
40
gonadal
meters,
tissue.
9.5.
Yeah, we can do 0.2. That'll
See the
help.
really
Change. Good.
beautiful arms and the branching off, the fine
Video's
if they're
good.
called
All right,
pinnules on
go wide.
echinoderms or not. I'm going to have to
10
look
going
that
down
up.
And
And
those-
I'm mumbling, I know.
the two red dots
Okay.
you see are about 10 centimeters apart, so that gives a scale for the animals. So that's about 4 inches. A little
Bridge,
bit
this is
over
Nav.
4 inches. A lot more rocks here. That's cool.
Seeing a shadow from the right arm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the bridge
Oh, what is
could I have
that?
a move,
Wow,
Big
please?
look at
branch
that.
sticking
It's
out.
something quite
Yeah,
different.
watch lead pilot.
40
We'd like to take a
meters.
look at that, of course.
Do you want
Bearing
to adjust lower swing arm for the starboard one?
degrees And a speed of 0.2
Yeah,
knots,
play with
please.
that.
Yeah. Video, is that better or worse? Could you tell?
I'm not going to take a guess on
Shadow's
it being
still
a
there. You
carn.
can see it in
Oh,
the ROV
Tina
camera.
thinks it's a
I
sponge stalk.
see.
I agree.
Want to go in on the
I
base
think
here
it's a
video?
sponge stalk. I'm just trying to figure out if it's a hexactinellid sponge stalk or if it's a carnivorous sponge stalk. I think it might be hexactinellid, but let's take a look at that. Looks like a mysid shrimp. A mysid, it's a crustacean, and we've seen
That pulls
these
in?
attached
No, it's
to
partial.
sponge
Okay,
stalks
we going all the way
on
on the
previous dives.
Max zoom.
The mysids brood their young, and so that long
I'll
tail
tilt
that
up.
you'll see as we move up the stalk
Get the mice in here.
area. Oh, it looks like the tail. I don't think that's a brood pouch. I think that's just the tail. But you biologists on shore can correct me. Okay, move up. Yep, there's some hydroids. I'm surprised Patty is tearing herself away from this. She's going to go and have a quick bite to eat. Okay. Yeah, this to me looks like it is a glass sponge stalk. So at one time, so what we're looking at is a branch that's made out of microscopic skeletal elements of the sponge called spicules, all woven together. And the things that are fuzzy on the sides of it are most likely hydroids, so a type of cnidarian. For those of you who go
Okay, I'll
scuba
continue
diving
to the top.
in the tropics, hydroids are actually related
Taller
to
than
fire
that.
coral,
Yeah, it keeps going.
and they sting
There it
too.
is.
Okay, there we go. So at one time, the stalk had a
Wobbling around there.
body on top of it, if you can call it that. And it was a living sponge, probably definitely a glass sponge, a hexactinellid sponge. Chris,
All
any
right.
guesses on
Happy
what it
with
might
that
be? Oh,
video?
Chris is saying
Yep.
it could, yes,
All right, you can go ahead.
might be a colophacus sponge stalk.
We'll go look for a live one.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying that, Shirley, is just some of the things you look at when you look at these glass sponges. One, they had panned down at the base a little while ago, and you could see it was basophytus, which means that it was glued onto the substrate with a plate, a siliceous plate. secondly, that it's extremely long, but it's keeping the same diameter all the way up.
27
Not
degrees
like it's
for that
getting
move.
bigger
Okay.
at the base or near the top. It's just a very,
good.
very thin
How far
stock, and
are
that's
we
pretty
from that target
characteristic
now?
of the
Now that we've
Caulophacus.
swung and started the next move.
Thanks. That was Chris Kelly from the University of Hawaii. Chris
Once
is
we get to
the
the
overall
position-
science lead for this capstone campaign, this
Well, we've only
3-year
moved about,
campaign. And
5 meters.
Chris has many
the
areas
ship
of
has, or-
expertise, but in
Ship.
terms of sponge taxonomy, he knows his hexactinellid
Yeah,
sponges,
video. I don't
knows
think I
them
can get that
way
clear
better
out
than
without
I do.
actually
That's for
deploying
sure.
the
And
swing
so he
arms.
was
I've
You
tried.
can
he was
deploy
able to
the
make that
starboard lower
diagnosis
bit.
about
Is
what
that a help?
sponge this
Let's
might
start
be
with lower
based on
deploy.
some of these
Yeah.
external morphological characteristics that we use to categorize the organisms that we study.
Oh, yeah, I see the craft there very much.
That helped, right? Video.
So surely,
Yeah, that
since
helped.
we're in a little area here
Typical
that doesn't have that
recommendation.
much going on,
It's harder
I'll
for me to
mention
see
to
over
you
there. I just see the
why
general
perhaps
idea.
I know a little
So
more
I have the
about
upper and
sponges
lower
than I
legs
should.
fully
It's
deployed.
that
I think
Henry
pilot,
Reichwig up in
kinda
Vancouver, one of the world's
right
authorities
now.
on glass
What
sponge,
do you think, though?
actually tolerated me
could
for
do-
2 weeks in
you
his
could do the
home
port to
while
match.
we worked on
Port
glass
lower?
sponges, and I
Yeah,
had him
put
all
that
to
out of it,
myself
too.
for 12 hours a day for 2
Something's giving
weeks.
us a slight
And I just
flare
could
on
not
the left
ask
side
him
of the
enough
ROV
questions and learn
Yeah, I
enough
see
things
that.
from him.
and also
He is
slight ring on the
incredible,
right-hand
and if
side.
there's anybody out there that finds himself in a similar situation or possible situation, please accept, because it's remarkable. It's like the old Greek mentor to student experience.
Yeah, and aside from being an expert in, to tell you the truth, not only hexactinellid sponges, but in other sponges as well, he is just the loveliest man.
Do you wanna do a
just
quick zoom here?
Just so you couldn't have had a better mentor. All right, we are zooming in on what looks like another anemone.
Would you like a closer look, Watchley?
Yes, please.
Okay. If you come wide video, I'll set down. It's very small.
It is very small. Those laser dots, I don't know if Patty's explained them, but those laser dots are 10 centimeters
Will.
apart, so about 4 inches apart. So a lot of the things that we see down here are really tiny. Sometimes when we collect samples and we think that they're a lot
I think you've
bigger
started
than
moving
they
yet,
are, we get
Copilot?
them up on the surface, it's like, oh wow, that is really, really
Maybe
tiny.
a little closer.
It's tough to tell. Give me 1 minute,
Okay.
and I'll give you a better answer.
Video. Feel like zooming on this?
We just had a
All
quick
right.
change out of our videographers. Roland is stepping away, hopefully to have some lunch. And Tara Smithy has just come in.
Is that Max there?
All 3 of our videographers are award-winning, so you're going to see some stunning shots from them.
Just get a little farther right for you.
Yeah, pilot, I'd say I'm moving.
Okay, so what's the timing on that?
We've got 5 meters to go, and that took 7 minutes.
The ship started moving?
Ship's been
Started
moving
moving for
7
7.
minutes.
Oh, okay.
But it's at point 2 now,
Yeah.
and it's done about 35 meters.
Okay.
Yeah, but it looks like I am
Watchley
definitely
pilot?
moving though.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm good with this as soon as you're
All
ready.
right. Whenever you're clear video.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Good.
So this is an area of moderate to heavy sediment,
So since we did a
lots of
fairly
rocks
fast
scattered
40-minute
throughout.
move, once you start
and
moving.
boy, that was a quick lunch break.
I'll
I can tell
say.
she
It'll
just
go
does
pretty
not want to
Are
step
Are
away.
those animal trails on the seafloor? To
Possibly,
the bottom
possibly,
right?
possibly,
Wow.
possibly.
I mean, even benthic wormy thingies or holothurians. Are you surprised that there's as
Yeah,
much
I am.
biology down
I am.
here?
Tell you the truth, I really am.
Okay.
Well, considering what we've seen on some of the other
Pilots, I
dives,
think the ship is in position.
that's another one of those rocks that looks like
I'm
it's
gonna try to
got
fix
The
that
whole thing
flare,
looks
pilot.
white.
white.
though.
Yeah. Do you want to take a closer
Snap
look
zoom
at
here?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, snap zoom.
Pilot, watch lead. Thank you. Just a quick zoom on that. Wow.
Pulled in partially.
Really, really
That's good.
pale.
So those of you at home will hear us say snap
Thank you,
zoom from
pilot.
time to time.
You're
What that
welcome.
means is we want to go in for a quick look, and if it's something that we've seen before, we may may choose to not look at it more, but in many cases, if we get close up and we see that it's something that's unusual, then we'll ask our pilot to stay there a little bit longer, and
When you
our
first got to the bottom, was there a little cliff?
videographer
Is that why
to
the
get some
swing
more
arms were away?
images of that,
Yeah,
and then we may decide
it's
this
been
is something
similar
that we
to
would
this,
like to
sand
collect.
bottom.
Look at that
Gotcha.
big boulder,
With, like,
Patty.
big boulders
That is a
and
big
stuff,
boulder.
so
We have
haven't
seen
been-
a lot of them. And what's
I'll
fascinating
try
is
to be
some of them
careful.
have a huge botryoidal coating of manganese oxide on one side, and then the other looks like it just broke off the cliff. No manganese or very, very thin coating and angular surfaces. What interests me about these pale rocks we're seeing is that is the typical color of pumice that forms from volcanic eruptions. Pumice is very frothy lava that forms when...
What did you call it?
Pumice.
No, what did you say? Did you say frocky?
Frothy.
Oh,
T-H-Y.
frothy. I was
Frothy.
like, oh, that's a combination of frothy and rocky. No, all right, okay,
That could
frothy.
be.
Frothy,
That's not what I
sorry.
said.
I know,
That-
frothy.
So the froth forms as gases dissolved in the magma at depth begin to dissociate from the liquid and form bubbles. That material can form huge rafts on the sea surface.
Oh, really?
But yes.
And then eventually they sink.
They sink eventually because the septa between the bubbles of glass will fracture during cooling
Yeah, but I
often,
don't know
and
if
then
it's the
water
lower
can get
swing arms.
into
I've done a few
and make
configurations.
the rock
but
denser,
Could be the
basically.
craft or the temp probe, maybe.
Remember the other day,
Yeah,
it was maybe
sure.
about a week ago, and you thought the rock we were collecting was pumice, and then when we went to pick it